Hey there, welcome to day 5 of my writing accountability journey. I'm just here to say that uh, y'all, this broke me in half in the best way. So first of all, who starts a recording with gum in their mouth? I mean, honestly. So I had a dream, the most wild dream last night. Like I remember falling. Okay, so no, before bedtime, I just got I got so excited. All of a sudden, I just was like, "Zoo," and it's like zoomies. It was like having the zoomies, but I just was happy and bliss filled, and I just loved myself. Again, I just was electrocuted with excitement. And I know that sounds wild, but that's just the way I run energy. You know what I mean? And I believe that the more we allow ourselves to be purified by healing and by love, I think we have the capacity to at times get these shocks of upgrades, of energetic upgrades. And what's happening right now in humanity, in the collective consciousness, in all of our lives and our psyches, is that we're all being like bombarded with ultra high frequency energy from all of the everything that's going on with the sun. That's the illumination, our consciousness, right? Soul. SOL, soul. So we're all upgrading. When the water in the harbor rises, all boats rise. Anyway, all that to say, that's why a lot of you guys are having wild dreams. That's why I'm having wild dreams. That's why we're all kind of being put into place. So this dream, I don't even remember what it was. I just remember being lucid in the dream, and it was like, write this down, write this down. And I was like, I gotta write this down. This better get written down, like write this down. And so I went to sleep and well, sorry, it was like write this down. And I was like, okay, I'll write it down. But then I reached over and the pencil, or it wasn't working as a mechanical twist up pencil thing. Whatever. I wasn't gonna fight with the lead at whatever clock, 1 a.m. Go back to sleep. 3 a.m. I wake up, same damn thing. Write this down, write this down. So I get the notepad or whatever, and I write it down. I figure out the pencil like at whatever time, and I wrote it down. And so I got up, I go to CrossFit. I had stuff to do this morning. So just go, 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 go. And I was like, oh yeah, that the note. Let me see what it says. 'Cause I couldn't remember what the dream was about, but I do remember how exciting it was. And then I got the notepad, and there in my sleepy handwriting, it said, write this down. I shouldn't have written down the instructions. I should have written down the dream, right? And so I made a Facebook post about it, just like being funny, being nerdy. And then it hit me. I'm like, whoa, maybe the instructions have already been given. And maybe they've already been written down. And then maybe we just get to live the dream. And we have the instructions already in this lifetime. And that brings me to the return of Christ and not religion. We're breaking the structures of religion right now. Thank God we are transcending the box of having to outsource our power. And there's many people that will stay there, and that's okay. And that's everybody's free will. And that's the part they play in the ascension of human consciousness, because there are some souls that still, prefer to have the structure of that paradigm. So we don't fault because it takes all of us, and we'll get there here in a moment. However, there's a certain part of people, a bunch or batch of people who are now experiencing the return of Christ consciousness, and that's the oneness, and that's everything that Christ was about, and everything that he preached about, and about giving, and about being, and about always like washing the inner cup. And then that comes to inner healing and the message that I have. And I've been calling myself an enlightenment coach. I've called myself embodied emotional intelligence coach. Like I'm trying them on for size. And I love enlightenment because it is catalyzing to a lot of the Christians and whatnot, just those ones that are in the hard old paradigm of thought sometimes. But I also don't want to disrespect it or devalue that word for people who have a very, very rich meaning of what enlightenment means. And so I don't want to be flippant, but also I just want to figure out what title. So yesterday, I think it came to me, spiritual embodiment coach. And I love that because I'm not religious. I'm not into any particular religion. It's more of consciousness and her I'm not going to go into all my ideologies, but everything. I believe that we are all expressions of the one creator source, the divine source. I believe our consciousness is exactly who God is. And I believe that if you are here and you're receiving this message, that God in you, that consciousness in you is resonating. And when we get back to that place of self-sovereignty, we actually can, like in my former video, we absolutely can, how do I say this? Switch ourselves into seeing our life from God's perspective. And so seeing yourself and your life from a third person perspective, as if you were the divine, supreme creator being looking at yourself. And so the thing about that is when I allowed myself to get there, it takes almost I was telling a friend of mine, it takes almost like this mental movement of a crochet hook. And I pull out, it goes in and it hooks a piece of yarn and it pulls it out and then it does this whole thing. But so it's a series of letting go and hooking, to kind of create this whole fabric of whatever. And so as we balance out the different parts of who we are on the inside, we can get to the place where we feel so settled and so balanced and so one with everything, that we're not pushing or fighting or pulling or any of these things. And as I do that, and as you do that, and as she does that, and he does that, and everybody does that together, then we all kind of are walking in balance. And I got a vision. It's not even anything that crazy, but it was just kind of just the message in visual form of like, we're all puzzle pieces of God, of everything. And by the way, last night I got hit with this insight, kind of like a lightning strike. If your God is jealous, then right? We say he because totality, like that's kind of what we're trying to signify when we use the energetically masculine term he when we're referring to God. By the way, that's generally like the mindset behind it, rather than patriarchy or him and her gender. Anyway, if your God is jealous, then he doesn't know his full power, because the definition of God is everything, is good, bad, indifferent, whatever. So if your God is jealous and says, you shall have no other gods before me, then he doesn't know his power, because there is nothing that can be put before the whole. It's very simple. It's a very simple thing. So then if you shall have no other gods before me, well, then what does that mean? That means that you, me, God, like, oh, oh, it's everything. You're safe. You're safe. You're just held. And we don't need to outsource our power in order to be held. Salvation is understanding that you free yourself from the inside out with your mindset, with your thoughts, with your emotions. It's the return of Christ consciousness. We know now with quantum entanglement and everything about the dynamics of our energetic matrix, we understand that we do this together collectively. Again, when the water in the harbor rises, all boats rise. In the Bible, and we're just going to keep going back to that because that's our cultural text here in America, right? Historical, spiritual text, which, by the way, all roads lead to the same ocean. Okay. But in the Bible, we talk about, and I say this all the time, Jesus was walking on the water, and the water usually signifies emotion. And here we are, December 20th. Tomorrow's the solstice, and we're moving forward into December 25th. And I'm not fighting you about what the hell that day means. All I know is what's happening right now. And I've been instructed to write it down. And then I looked that up, and that's Revelation 1:11. I just want to let you know, my birthday is January 12th, and my party is on 1/11. And I have been instructed to write a book. But what I do want to invite you to also hear is that I'm a semifinalist in a public speaking competition, the Great American SpeakOff, and I haven't signed anything saying that I'm not allowed to talk about it, so I'm still going to talk about it. And so I was thinking about my talk, and I have to go through all these series of auditions, and so I've got another audition coming up, and I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just going to talk, right? And that's always how I best channel higher consciousness information. And so it kind of hit me. I'm like, okay, so, all right, I'm kind of piecing it together because that's just the way I work. And I know some of you guys are losing your crap. If you had an audition coming up in 2 weeks, you'd lose your crap. But for me anyway, 3 weeks, I guess. They're in there. It's all in there, but just kind of bringing it together at the right moment. That's why I love living in the moment. But anyway, I have this audition and I'm weaving it together. And it is about enlightenment because I literally, like, there's nothing else I can talk about. That's just how I see the world. Yes, we can talk about like sports and crap, but what I'm saying is when I'm having a talk to the masses with an intention of making catalyzing changes, like this is my topics, my jam. All that to say, I see myself having writing this book and how it is not just my story, it's our story. It's the story of ascension, and it's the story of the return of Christ. And in Revelation 1:11, John is instructed to write it down because he is the author of the book. And that's just so funny to me. If God would give John the pen to write this down through his level, like what you saw, write it down. Yeah, I don't care what it sounds like. Write it down. Yeah, they're going to misunderstand your message. Write it down. And so I'm also writing. I kind of hit a blank yesterday, and I think I talked about how the story, writing the story, is writing me. It's like setting me upright. And it hit me on Wednesday evening that probably the best perspective to take is that third person narrative. And I was like, oh, and so I started dreaming more like I can actually teach a message easier using my story as the template and then weave in other angles and, nuances to help to illustrate that message. And I can express more of my creativity rather than in just storytelling, because I tell a great story on the mic, but writing is so freaking laborious. But I also love it because I channel and I flow. So trying to write a story, a narrative that I've already lived, it slows me down. And I needed that. I needed that to understand, to come from that outside perspective and let my story and who I am in that narrative, fictionally, of course, be the teacher. Like, duh, it all kind of clicks in. So anyway, that's the update. So I'm actually, this is my last thing for my work, for what I'm doing. And the lines are so blurry, work, personal life, but I'm switching into family mode. I'm going to clean my house. I'm going to go shopping. My mom's coming in town, like it's Christmas, right? And then New Year's, all the things. I can ramble, can't I? She speaks, right? Anyway, I'm just talking myself in circles and I'm so excited. But like, this is the high energy. This is the high energy. And like, I have thought myself because I'm like a hummingbird and I'm insatiably curious, but I'm a deep well, like a deep reservoir. I'm like, ah. But I'm learning to love myself. So all of that to say, I also think at the end of my talks, I think I'm going to be cute and end it with, and how should I know? I only wrote the book on it. Which is so egotistical, but I think I could twist that. I could put it in there somehow because I'm writing about enlightenment. I'm writing about the return, like Christ, like the illumination, the awakening, right? And no, I'm not writing the book on it, but I'm writing a book on it. And it might be something that a character says inside the book. I don't know, but do you see how this opens up the possibilities? So I'm going to come back. I'm going to hit it hard on like December 28th, whatever that Monday is after Christmas. And I'm going to take like 3 days or 4 days or whatever, just to kind of before New Year's, finish that, kind of make the transition and then hopefully finish the narrative, at least just the skeleton bones of the narrative, and then pick it back up in right timing. And the lesson, I'm going to bring it home, I'm going to land the plane here. The lesson for me in doing that is that story also helps me craft, because in January I'm diving into just refreshing myself on a lot of speaker training, speaker techniques, things like that, public speaking things, just to hone my skills and polish back up, because I've been in hermit mode for a few months. But the message already in me, having written it out. Number two, refining the speaker training, just know-how stuff. And then my birthday. And then, or before my birthday is the SpeakOff, like the other round of auditions. So I get to write the book. I get to refresh the speaking things. I get to re-audition again for the fun of it. Have my birthday. Speak to you guys as much as possible. And then I'm going to, like, what? Girl, a lot happens. A lot happens when you decide to take the leap and actually live the life of your dreams. I love you, and I have no idea how long this is. So have a good day. Oops. Have a good day. Bye.